Welcome to the MadHouse podcast, a safe place where we discuss the things that have been on our mind. So sit back, relax, as we dive deep down into the rabbit hole to see how far it goes. Welcome to episode 2 of the MadHouse podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the hole, the dark place. And I want to start off by how we got ourselves there, because I think this is a place that a lot of people find themselves. At least me personally. What about yourself?
I do, man. Like, for me, the hole or the dark place, whatever you want to call it, to me it's a place where, as you're going through things in life, it's that area that you find yourself in where you're just, it just feels as like everything is dark around you. There's no escape. It's literally like a hole. It's like you found yourself in a hole where you feel by yourself. Like you're feeling like feelings of depression.
Yeah.
It just feels like you're there all by yourself, and it feels like there's nobody else in the world that is there with you. Like, to me, that's what that hole is. Like, that's what it feels like. I mean, how do you, like, what is the hole or the dark place to you?
To me, it's stagnation. If I had to say anything, if I had to put a word to it, it'd be being stagnant, being locked in place, unable to move. Because that's really the feeling I get from it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny how you can think about, like, well, I mean, of course you can move. Yeah, but it's really hard to move because I feel that one of the biggest things in human nature is our fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And when you have that fear of the unknown, you're scared to proceed forward because you're not certain of that outcome, right?
Yeah, you don't want to venture out.
Yeah, and like for me, it all started. I'll give you my personal backstory. Like, me falling into that hole started many moons ago. I was, I think, around either 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I was walking to school, right? And I typically walk the back alleys to school because it was faster. And I remember walking, and a guy comes behind me and touches my butt, right? So, mind you, I'm 7.
Yeah.
Right? And a dude just came and sexually assaulted me. At the moment, all I could think of was that instant is defending myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they say fight or flight? That's how you know who you are. Like, I just remember it was behind a Kroger's. And you know those pallets, right? You know, like the loading pallets? They had a whole bunch of broken pallets. I just ran over. I grabbed one of the wooden planks from the pallet, and I just started swinging at him.
And you're 7 at this time.
I'm 7
so
at this time.
You're like a kid. Like, how you walking to school by yourself is a whole nother thing. But like, that was a different time back then.
Yeah, it was a different time, man.
And like, you're 7 though. Like, and that was your first reaction, was to go get a wooden pallet and defend yourself. I mean, I commend you for being 7 years old, because I mean, them wooden pallets, they're not like light or anything. So
yeah,
I mean, damn.
And I remember him laughing. Like, I wasn't hitting him. I was just swinging, like, get away from me. And I remember him smiling and laughing. And that is the time when I started to really descend into that hole, because at that moment I lost my innocence.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everyone can pinpoint it, but I'm sure a lot of people can actually, you can pinpoint that moment when you lose your innocence. When you realize that the world is not a nice place, right? Because as a child, you're so sheltered by your parents, and they shield you from a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
But there's going to come a time when you see the real world and the
is.
dangers that can come with it. There's a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of bad that can also take place, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first time, because it was a traumatic incident that happened when I was a child. And I remember going back, I ran back home, I swung the whole way, I ran back home, and I went to go get my dad. And my pops, I told him what happened. He came out, and he walked out there. Guy was already gone.
Yeah.
And my dad walked me to school. But as a child, and I never really discussed this with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't really like my my pops has always been like
he's always passive about everything.
But he's like he's not the type to like, let's have a discussion about what happened. It's like, okay, it's happened. I'm gonna go out there. We're gonna see what's up, and then, but that was it. And at that moment, I kind of recessed back into myself.
Yeah.
Because that's the first time I can remember that I drew back into myself and I was confused, and so I put that away in that hole. Right? Because I didn't know, I was scared of it. Like I said, the fear of the unknown. I didn't know how to address it, so I put that in the hole, because the hole isn't really anything more than a manifestation of our fears.
Yep.
It's the place, to me, the black hole, that black place, that dark place, is a place where you put the fears, the things that your insecurities, you put them in there.
So they're all in one centralized location, just.
And that's why it's funny when other people say that they don't know how to get out of there, because it's so overwhelming and overpowering. And I remember I came to that realization when I was going through therapy. And as I was going through some therapy and I was talking about it, I realized that all the things in my life I had been avoiding, I had been putting them in there.
Yep.
And the therapist told me one thing that actually gave me a revelation about this. She said, I know you're a Marine, right? Mm-hmm. Marines are made to be strong. Yeah. You're trained. Yeah, tough guys. You're in the military. You're trained to be tough and to deal with a lot of stuff. She said, but everyone, no matter how strong, how weak, how fast, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a point that it spills over. Everyone's like a cup. Mm-hmm. Some cups are taller, some cups are wider, but everybody is a cup. And eventually, your cup is going to get to the point where it's full, and then everything spills out. Yeah. And if you aren't emptying that cup, right? If you're not taking stuff out of that dark place and in addressing it, it's just building up in there. And as it builds up and then spills over into the life that you were trying to portray, the life that you were trying to lead for everybody else, like that outward appearance of the confidence, the bravado, right? And it starts to spill out. Yeah. And as it spills, and if you don't take that leak, then what happens? The water just fills up, and then once it fills up, and it spills up so much, now you're in that dark place. Mm-hmm. Now you can't get out. You don't know how to get out because you haven't addressed it.
You're surrounded by everything that you've stored down there and internalized. You feel like you're trapped down there, but you're just down there with everything, like.
And see, that's how I found myself there, because I put so much in there. Yeah. I put so much to the side. The thing that happened as a child, I think that was my starting point. Where as a child, that's when I started storing stuff into that place.
And that's an early time to start at 7. Like when usually you don't start putting stuff in there until you've had some life experiences. But like starting at 7 is early, man. Like, I mean, you just lost your innocence. Like, you don't even know how to process things. So it's like, even normal things, you're not even able to like process them and understand them. So now even things that you would normally be able to handle, you're 7, you don't have the intelligence to do that. So now you're storing everything And now the small things are turning into even bigger things. So,
and see, and like I said, that was the starting point. Then, as I got older, more experiences, and then family troubles, marital troubles, the stresses of having kids, like just life in general. That's all the stuff that I would put in there, and that's how I found like my way in there. I mean, what about yourself? I mean, like, do you remember? Can you recall a time when you feel like this was that time that I started putting stuff in that dark place? Like, you remember that?
So, like, you're my brother. So, like, as you know, when I was growing up, I was just different. Like, I processed things differently. I had to get help multiple times. But, like, with me having to get that help, I learned early on, because, like, I was going to therapy and stuff like that. I did that stuff early on in life. So, like, by the time I, kind of came to be an adult, because, when I was a kid, I was, like, a funny guy, because I was, like, self-conscious, because I was fat, like, I was just a fat dude, and I didn't, like, comedy was, like, my relief from everything, so, like, I don't like dealing with serious situations, so I would always joke about everything to kind of de-escalate everything, and kind of get back to my comfort zone. It's like a defense mechanism for me.
Yeah.
So that's always been how I kind of, like, deal with stuff, is, like, I make light of it, I make jokes about it, so I took that into my adulthood, so I think the part where I really started to spiral down is when I started going through, like, the process of my divorce. I got married, and there was probably a part of me in my mind that knew that we were doing this too soon and too early. But, like, I was all about it. Like, I was all invested, like, I was in love and, everything. And I tried to hold on to that as long as I could.
Yeah.
But there came a point where she basically said that I no longer love you and I don't want to be with you. And to me, after all I had invested and all I've given all of myself, like I didn't even have no friends really. Like I had dedicated my life to just my son and her. And it got to a point where when she told me that she no longer loved me anymore, I didn't know how to mentally handle that.
Yeah.
Like it hit me so hard and it stopped me, and I started to spiral down. And that's when my descent into that dark place began, because there was feelings of I had low self-confidence, I had low self-esteem, and I'd never been that way. Like I had always had high self-esteem, high self-confidence. Like there was nothing nobody could tell me, because every situation that I went into, I always knew that I could complete anything. I was going to win. I was like, oh no, I got this. I don't care what it is. But after I got hit with that, like my first big loss is when I lost my marriage. And that right there shook me to my core, because I feel like I did everything I could. I feel like I did everything right. And when I didn't have that to lean back on anymore, that was my first big loss. And that's when I started to go down, like I said, no confidence, low self-esteem. I'm looking at myself and I'm like, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. Like maybe I can't do all the things that I think I can do. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like I just didn't really feel comfortable in myself. I didn't really know what to do. I was like, well, I took all those feelings and all those emotions, and I was like, and I tried to lie to myself for a long time, and I was like, no, I'm good. I got this. I'm still Jordan. But deep down, I knew, I was like, I don't feel like Jordan right now. Yeah. Like, I feel like that part of me that I gave to her, she took that with her. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but in that moment, that's what it was. Like, I gave her so much of me that when she left, she took those parts of me with her, and I didn't know what to do, and I found myself in this dark place where I was just depressed, and I just really wasn't sure what to do. And I guess as I look back on it, obviously with hindsight and everything that I have, like I look back on all the things, I look at how I got there, and then I'm trying to look at the things that I did. But like, I know the things that I did. Like, how did you, when you got to your dark place and you found yourself there, like, what did you do when you were there? Like, what are some of the things, like, your emotions that you feel, but what did you, like, it could be like an emotional thing or a physical thing. Like, what did you do as you were in that dark place?
Now, see, mine is actually funny, because I remember seeing my mom and dad get divorced, right? And it touched me, right? Because I always say, man, I'm never gonna get divorced because my parents got divorced. I'm never doing it. I'm gonna always be there. And when I got married, and I think I had been with my wife altogether, I think we had been together about 13 years. And we're divorced now, right?
Yeah.
And as I look back at it now, as I'm processing a lot of my life, I realize that there's a lot of stuff I would say, man, I don't like the way she's doing this or that, and it's making me feel some type of way.
Yeah.
But I'm also fair to say that there was a lot of stuff I was doing that contributed to it as well.
That self-awareness.
And I think that it's not just one person. I didn't get divorced because it was all her fault.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't all my fault. It was a combined thing. But what I think that combined thing was because of that being in that dark place. Because I was there. I had been there, and it had spilt over. And when you're trying to manage at this point in my life, I have a stay-at-home wife. I'm in the military. I have 2 kids. I'm working.
Life good right now.
Yeah, life's good.
You living a hot life. Look at
but you know, got a nice little crib, got a nice little house. But the reality was, I'm juggling a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I have people who I have to take care of, and I think I didn't understand. I didn't realize what that dark place was doing to me because I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was there because when I was single or when it was just me and my wife, it was just like we were just kind of going through, and I would have like moments of depression and crying and to myself or whatever. But I didn't realize it until I actually had children and I had lives that are actually
like little people.
Yeah, depending on me. And that pressure compounded with marriage and what I was in the military and all the things that my responsibilities. Yeah. Then that's when I realized that there's a lot of stuff I've been doing that has been counterproductive. And like I said, there was a whole bunch of stuff coming in where like she would get on my wife would get on my ex-wife would get on my nerves and stuff like that. But what she did shouldn't have affected me. The reason I think I've reacted so badly to a lot of situations is because I myself was in that bad place, that dark place. So I would react out of pocket.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I would be short-tempered sometimes. Like I've never been the type to put my hands on a female. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But I would always think I'm a good guy. Like I don't hit my wife. I don't hit females. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But I failed to see something very important. Physical abuse isn't the only abuse.
Yeah. It's not prevalent.
But I realized like I was thinking that I'm a good guy. I don't do physical. But I realized mentally I was abusive in the sense that I was real snarky. I would like, you know, like I'd get like real aggressive in my tone, like, and I'd say just mean comments. But like, she'd say something mean to me, and I'd be like, "Well, she's saying something mean to me. I gotta say something mean back." But I didn't have to respond that way. Just because she came at me crazy doesn't mean I have to come at her crazy. Yeah. And I didn't understand that. What I should have done was process, say, hey, you know what? I don't like the way she's coming at me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let that dictate the way I approach the situation because I'm in control. But when you're in that dark place, you're not in control.
Yeah, because all you're surrounded with is the things that you've internalized and stored down there. So, not that it's all negativity, but like that's pretty much what's stored down there.
But you're in a hostile place, so you feel more hostile. Versus someone who kind of gradually lets it out and they don't let that consume them. Yeah. They have it's easier for them to process and make better, more calm decisions than it is for someone who's in that dark place and you feel like you're in a war zone. Everything is, you're always on alert, you're always on edge. So when something happens in your life, you respond that way. Versus when you are in a calm, cool, collected place, when you address situations and you don't let things build up, when something happens, you more easily and readily handle and address those situations. That's why I think it's funny. Like as I look back at my pops, I was like, I always wonder, like, man, how is pops always so calm and cool about everything? Like,
except you get an ass whooping, then
you know.
But even still, he was kind of calm about that.
But even now, like when something happens, I can hit him with a dramatic situation, and he's like, all right, cool. It's like he. I don't think maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember ever seeing my dad freak out.
He get upset.
He'll get upset, but I've never seen him like freak out and go out off the rails. Mm-hmm. Like he can get passionate.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him go off the rails. And I remember I remember talking to him one day because as I was in this dark place, I would constantly have visions. This is one of the things that happened to me when I was in there. I would have visions, and I'm still kind of in there. I'm trying to get out, but I would have visions of people trying to come into my house and assault my kids.
Yeah, the same thing that happened to you and you. Okay.
Yeah, this is a recurring dream. Yeah. Mind you, that this is happening to me. I can't sleep sometimes. Yeah. I literally wake up and I will stand in the dark, sitting there, listening, waiting for someone to come in and be ready to get that ass. I'm like, I'm ready to kill him.
Yeah.
I'm ready. No one's there.
Yeah.
But in my mind,
you made a person, and you're hyper.
Somebody's outside right now, trying to take my babies. Mm-hmm. This is the product of being in that dark place because I can't focus. Anytime I go somewhere, I'm always looking over my shoulder. Who's plotting? Who's trying to harm? Like that's the product of being in there. And I remember I asked my dad. I asked my pops. I said, "Pops, I'm having this issue. Like, how did you do it? Like, how did you not lose your mind? And like, because I'm losing my mind. Yeah. I can't sleep. I can't focus. I'm going crazy." And he said, just calmly, he was like, "I don't worry about it." And I'm like, yeah, but they're my kids. I gotta worry about it. I gotta do something. Like, look, he's like, I don't worry about y'all's safety. Mm-hmm. He says, I just do what I can do to make sure I put you in, I keep you in as safe as a position as possible. Mm-hmm. But then that's it. I don't do anything. I don't worry about it. He said, because I just put it in God's hands.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not saying that I don't do anything, but I just do what is in my grasp.
Yeah. And
everything outside of that, I just put it in God's hands. I don't sit there and dwell on it.
Yeah.
Like
he's always been that way.
I don't dwell on it. I just put it in God's hand. I'm gonna make sure I feed you, clothe you, and do my best to protect you. But outside of that, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
And I said, no, but I gotta worry about it. Like
yeah.
I gotta do this. I have to think about what he's like. Just don't worry about it. I'm like, how do you fucking not worry about it? Like, how do you do that?
I think it's like when you do that worrying about it, I think it's more so for your own personal well-being. Not that it's not for the kids or anything, but I think it's more so for your own personal well-being than anything else. Like, I don't know, like, I guess we obviously we're different people, so we process things differently. Like, when I got down into my dark place, like, I found myself acting out of character. So, you know, like, after I left for the military, there was a point in time where, like, there was probably, like, maybe, I don't know, from when I was, like, fucking 21, I didn't drink. Like, I got bought about alcohol for my 21st birthday, but I did not drink from, like, 21 up until probably, like, when I was 20, like, 27. I literally did not drink. I did not want to drink. Like, I just, you know, because, like, when we were growing up, it always used to upset me when Mom would go out and drink, and then she would come home drunk, and then sometimes she'll come in my room and mess with me. Like, she'll wake me up at, like, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, Mia, come over, give me a hug. I'm like, Mom, get up, stop. What are you doing? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? Like, go to your room. Like, I'm trying to sleep. Like, she literally came and woke me, and so I've always hated that. And, like, I didn't cuss. So, I for, like, 5 years, I ain't fucking cuss at all. Like, I didn't say no curse words. I would use, like, fillers. I'm like, man, flip all that. Like, I ain't dealing with that BS. And I just didn't do those things.
Yeah.
But, like, when I found myself in my dark place, it's like I did a 180. People misuse that. Oh, I did a 360. I'm like, so you just went the whole circle? What are you talking about? It's a 180. Like, you were going this direction, now you're going the opposite. But, like I found myself drinking more. So I actually picked up alcohol. And I literally would go to that, like, I would go to the liquor store. I don't know nothing about alcohol. I would literally go to the liquor store and find the cheapest alcohol that I could find, the whole bottle. I'm like, hey, she's like, hey, can I help you find something? I was like, show me the cheapest vodka you got, and show me the cheapest whatever. So I bought like a bottle of Hypnotic, and I bought like a bottle of cheap vodka, and that's what I would do. Like every other week when I didn't have Jaco, I would literally go to the liquor store, buy like 2 bottles of alcohol, and I would go home and I would drink that. Like I drink the whole damn bottle. Like I would literally go home and drink the whole bottle. Like, and I get my little food, and I remember it because like I did this multiple times. Like, and I'm not, I ain't proud of this, but like this will be my thing. Like every other week when I didn't have Jaco, I would literally get a bottle of alcohol, and like that whole week, every night, I would just drink myself until I couldn't feel nothing. Like until the point where I was just kind of numb and I was just okay with everything.
Yeah.
And I would just sit on my floor. Like I ain't even sit on the couch. Like I literally sat on my floor and I just listened to like. So I like listening to classical music when I'm reading, and I listen to classical music, and I had like this playlist from when I was sad, and I put on my sad playlist, and I would sit on the floor and I would just sit there and cry. I would cry, and I didn't even want to be on the couch or the bed. Like I literally wanted to lay on the floor and cry. So I had my little drink. Sometimes I had the whole bottle. I just drank it, and then I would wake up the next day and I would go on about my day like nothing had happened. I was just like, and I did this for months, like, and this is months. Like this is me not drinking for years, but I did this for months, and I was like, yeah, this is what I do, and like nobody probably even knew. Like nobody knew because like during the day I was cool, but then like. It wasn't like I was hanging out with a bunch of people anyway, but like at night, that was my thing. That's how I went to sleep at night. And there was just one day where I knew I had to make a change when like, I don't know how I forgot this, but like I was supposed to get Jaco at night. I thought I was supposed to get him the next day, and he was at grandma's house. And I went and got my bottles, and I'm knocking them back, I'm drinking them, and I get a knock on my door, and I was like, what the fuck? So I go open it, and it's Pops and Jaco. Mm-hmm. So I'm just sitting there, like, I open the door, and there he is. He's just sitting there, and Pops walks in. He was like, man, what are you in here, sleep? I was like, nah, man, I'm good. What's up? He was like, oh, I brought Jaco by like you asked me to. So now, I'm drunk. My son is there, and Pops is like, hey, man, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You go ahead and go. So I'm now in the house alone with my son, and I'm drunk, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm still finna go through my whole routine. So as we're sitting at the table eating, because like now he's here, so now we're sitting at the table eating, I go ahead and start my routine. So I'm at the table and I'm just crying, and Jaco's like, don't cry, it's okay. And he starts rubbing my shoulder, and at that moment, it just clicked in my head. I was like, I can no longer do this, because now the things that I'm doing in my dark place is my son is starting to see those things. And I've never ever wanted him to see me like that. So I was like, nah, dude, I can't do this. Like the negative self-talk, like the low self-esteem, because I used to talk mad shit I didn't just sit there like and cry. I would be like talking mad shit to myself. I'm just like, you piece of shit. You over here fucking drunk off your ass and you ain't doing shit. Like, what are you doing with your life? And I was just so down on myself, and like, no matter what people said, like, oh, Jordan, you're doing good. All they saw was all the good things, but all I saw was everything that I was doing wrong. And like, there was just no breaking that. But at that point, I knew it was time for me to like break that. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want my son to know me like this. Like, I don't want him to see me that way, or to know his dad is like this person. So that's when I was like, hey man, I gotta make a change. Like, I cannot keep doing this, and I have to do something different.
So like, speaking on that, doing something different. Like, so what are you doing now that's getting you out of that dark place and gonna keep you out of there?
Man, like, honestly, like, this podcast helps a lot, man. Like, I've just gotten really, really big. Like, obviously, I've been going to counseling for, like, the past 4 years. And I go to counseling, like, I used to go 2 or 3 times a week because I needed it. So I would go to counseling, and my counselor, he gives me all these tidbits of information and things I can do. He's like, hey, man, get on a routine. Get on your schedule. When you start having these negative thoughts, like, disprove those things. Like, you always like, hey, I'm a piece of shit, or I'm not doing good. Show me the reason. Like, show me the rationale as to how you got there. And as I really started to listen to the things he was saying, I was like, you're right. Like, maybe I didn't do as good as I wanted to do, but that doesn't mean I'm a piece of shit. Like, I still have value. I still have worth. So I really started doing a lot of positive self-talk. I would acknowledge the small things that I was doing right, not just acknowledging the things that I was doing wrong. I was like, hey, I'm back on my schedule. I'm going back to the gym. I'm lifting regularly. Like, my body is starting to change. Like, I'm a good dad. Like, I show up for my son. I'm always there. I'm always present. I'm always doing everything in his best interest. Like, I started going to the gym, and I started saying I was going to be more social. Like, I wanted to put that positive energy out into the world and kind of spread that and say, you know what? There are people that are, like, going through the same things that I've been through or that are currently there right now. And I want to be the person for them that I needed when I was going through those things. And that's really, really kind of pushed me to kind of, like, stay out of that dark place. Because, like, sometimes I stumble and I trip and I fall. But, like, my counselor always tells me, because sometimes I'll call him, like, man, I'm fucking it up right now. I'm in the fucking rabbit hole. And he's like, okay, well, now you got to decide how long you're going to stay there. And I was like, well, I don't want to be here long. He's like, okay, well, do the things that you know you need to do to get out of it. Like, acknowledge the good that you're doing, acknowledge the bad, or I guess acknowledge the wrong that you're doing, and fix it. Like, everything that you're doing, you can fix. So, as I started to kind of, like, become more self-aware, and I looked at the things I was doing, and I was looking at, like, how I can do things differently, it really helped me to kind of change my perspective, which really led me to, like, to want to make, like, because I got this IG, like, on my IG I post a lot of I guess we'll call them inspirational, motivational things. Like, it literally is just random things that I will think about during the day that I feel like, stuff that's on my heart, that I just really want to say. And, like, when I get reception back from that, like, that really makes me feel good. Like, obviously there be females hitting me up saying some dumb shit sometimes, like, oh, you're bod. I'm like, okay, well, thanks, I work on it, but whatever. But, like, when I get those people that really reach out to me and be like, hey, man, I'm really glad that you said that. Like, you're inside my head right now. Like, I was just thinking about that. That was on my mind. It was on my heart. Thank you for sharing that. That does something for me. Like, that makes me feel like I was able to be there for that person when they needed it. And, like, I'm on this positive kick where I'm starting to try to distance myself from negative energy. And I'm like, I can no longer let negative situations dictate who I am or how I react. I'm going to react the way I need to react. And that's what I need to do. So those are some of the things that I've personally done to kind of, like, to get out of that dark hole and to stay out of it. Like, sharing my testimonies a little bit more, being more positive self-talk, putting positive energy out there. Like, those are some of the things that I enjoy doing. And obviously the gym, like how did you get out of it, and how do you stay out of it?
Like, what started pulling me out of it was basically just want to be better for my kids. Yeah. Like, I want to be better for them. So, like, having this podcast and talking about some things, like, just to get it off my heart. Yeah. And empty that space, and that's it. Like, you just got to empty the space. Like, you just have to do it. Like, you have to do it. You have to remain positive and see the light and know that it's there. And I just keep reaching for that. And as I mean, it's going to be a long road, but I mean, nothing that's easy, I mean, is really good for you. Most stuff that is worthwhile is hard. So it's going to be hard to get out there, but I keep pushing, I keep reaching, and like I said, we'll get there sooner or later. But
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. Like, I honestly did not think, like, I've been wanting to do a podcast, but I honestly did not think you would be receptive to doing this, because I know we talk sometimes, but, like, I've never really known you to be like a, like, I want to share my experiences. Like, I honestly did not think that you would come and, like, be as open as you are to doing this and sharing this publicly, because I was like, Nat probably ain't really going, he'll talk to me about it, but, like, opening up to, like, a broader audience, I just really didn't think you was going to be a part. Like, I didn't think you would be down for that, dude. Like, I just honestly thought you'd be like, nah, man, I ain't doing that. I'm good. I'm good.
No, I mean, I'm open to talking, because I feel like you have to share sometimes. Like, sharing this, it might help, even if it helps one person. Yeah. I mean, hey, that it helps me. So it's already helped one person. It's helping me.
Yeah, I would say one.
So
person.
it's already helped one person. So if I can reach out to somebody else, I mean, that's what I'm looking for. And just so everybody knows that we got that support system. Yeah. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. You having that support system. So, I mean, today it's been a good show. I mean, I really feel like it's giving me a lot to think about, and I know what I'm gonna do pushing forward, and I hope that other people can find a way to push forward themselves and know that they're not in the struggle alone.
Yeah, I think we're doing a pretty good job at that. Like, I think it's good, man. Like, sharing this, talking to each other, And like I like our conversations because it feels like it's just me and you talking, but at the same time, like I feel like we're in a room full of people talking at the same time, and I feel like there's like even as it's just me and you, I just in a sense I kind of feel like we're in a room full of people and everybody's like talking at the same time, which is kind of I guess it's a kind of weird thing to say, but like that's kind of how I'm feeling. Like I feel like it's just me and you, but there's other people that are like talking with us in a sense, but I think that that's good. Like I'm glad that you are agreeing to do this because like. I think we got some dope conversations, bro. Like, I think that we can really make some good out here in these streets, these crazy streets.
Yeah. And you want to know what we're going to talk about next time and how further down we're going to go? Be sure to join us. I'd like to thank y'all for coming out.
Cheer. Thanks for tuning in with us today. Hopefully we were able to give you something you can use and take forward into your day. If you want to reach out to us with any questions, comments, concerns, or even topic requests, links are in the description. Join us back here again next week in the MadHouse. We appreciate you and where you are in your journey in life. And always remember, we're all quite mad here. You'll fit right in.